As a working mom, I know how hard it can be to juggle everything without feeling like you're constantly behind. Some days feel productive, some days feel messy, and honestly, most days are a combination of the two. So in this video, I'm sharing 6 tips for working moms in 2026 that help me stay grounded, get things done, and make life feel a little more manageable. Let's dive into it. My first tip is to plan your week on Friday afternoons. This has been a big help for me because it keeps me from starting the weekend with that heavy feeling of, oh no, I have so much to get done, and carrying that into the weekend, especially Sunday night. We don't like the Sunday scaries. If I can sit down on Friday and think through the week ahead, I usually feel much more calm headed into the weekend. It also gives me the chance to schedule some appointments while offices are still open, which saves me from having to chase things down later. And by Friday afternoon, I'm still close enough to the work week that I remember everything that really matters for the upcoming week that I need to get done. I found that having a little planning session on Friday helps the weekend, avoid the Sunday scaries, and it makes your upcoming week less stressful and productive. My second tip is to avoid screens as much as possible. I thought about talking about avoiding screens at dinner or when you're playing with your kids, but really as much as you can avoid them, the better. And this one is definitely a work in progress for me. But I've noticed a huge difference when I'm intentional about it. In the morning, it has been so tough to not instantly reach for my phone. I have such a hard time waking up in the morning and turning on my phone, going to full brightness and scrolling through some reels or shorts helps wake me up, or at least I think it does. Now, I try not to reach for my phone right away because I found that starting the day with instant stimulation makes it harder to feel focused and grounded throughout the day. I want my mind to start in a calmer place, not immediately in reaction mode. I also try to limit screens while I'm working so I can stay more productive and avoid getting pulled into distractions every few minutes. So instead, I try to only check emails, messages, and texts at certain times and not every 10 minutes. And when I'm with my son, I really try to be present and not have my phone on me or not have the TV on. I'm not perfect at it, but I find that when I don't have screens, we can read more books together, we can toss a ball around, or just make messes like my son loves to do. That time with our kids goes by so fast, and I don't want to miss it. People check their phones constantly throughout the day. So even small boundaries with screens can make a really big difference in your focus, your mood, and your ability to be present where you are. My third tip is to find a support network or to build one if you don't have one or if you feel like you need a stronger network. And that network doesn't have to look like everyone else's. I think there can be a lot of pressure to have the right friend group, the perfect village, or the perfect support system. But in real life, it's often much more complicated. I don't have a huge friend support network, but I do have really close family and a strong church community. And that has helped me a lot, especially in my adult years. I think the big thing is to not compare your support system to someone else's. What works for you, works for you. What matters is that you have people, resources, and a safe place you can turn to when life gets heavy. Even journaling, which doesn't include people, can help ease your mind with difficult situations or difficult tasks ahead of you. Whatever your support network is, being a working mom is much easier when you know you don't have to carry this on your own. My fourth tip is to communicate clearly at work. This one has been really important for me because sometimes the hardest part of the work-life balance isn't the work itself, but the uncertainty around expectations. If I know I'm not going to make a deadline, or if I know I'm going to need more time on something, I try to communicate that early. I also try to let clients, coworkers, and my bosses know when they can expect to hear from me, because that can prevent a lot of confusion later. Sometimes I'll intentionally put an email lower on my priority list, and if I communicate that, then someone can correct me if I need to change that priority, and I can get that done when it needs to be done. That kind of communication helps everyone. It reduces stress, avoids misunderstandings, and makes you look more reliable, not less. I found that people usually appreciate the honesty much more than silence or last-minute surprises. My fifth tip is very simple, but it makes such a difference. That is, drink water. I know this sounds basic, but when I'm not hydrated, I can feel it in so many ways. I get headaches more easily, I feel less alert, and my energy just drops. I've also noticed that when I'm drinking enough water, I feel more clear-headed and able to think through the day without feeling foggy. Water is one of those things that's easy to overlook because we get busy and it's just so simple, but it really does support the way your body and your brain function throughout the day. For me, staying hydrated is one of those little habits that helps everything else feel more manageable. It's not flashy, but it works. My sixth and final tip is to find productive hobbies. And I use the term hobbies loosely. I don't just mean traditional hobbies like music, painting, or reading, though those absolutely count too. I also think hobbies can include things like working out, cleaning, spending time with friends and family, or anything else that feels enjoyable and productive. I have one friend who really loves planning parties, and I would absolutely count that as a hobby because she's so good at it and she clearly enjoys it. For me, I found that it's helpful to have a mix of hobbies that I can do at home and outside the home. But I do think it's good to have a rhythm that works for your life. For example, running outside the home is something I enjoy doing a few times a week, especially after my son goes to bed. It gives me a chance to reset and do something just for me, but I don't need to do that every single day. I also love having hobbies at home, like cleaning, using weights, and music. I know cleaning doesn't sound like the most exciting hobby, but I actually enjoy making it feel efficient and intentional. I bought pink gloves for cleaning, and I bought some extra supplies I probably didn't really need, but it definitely makes cleaning easier and more enjoyable. And honestly, that little upgrade made a bigger difference than I expected. I also invested in weights for our home, and I love having them available whenever I want. I can do a few exercises, a short workout, or a full workout. Having hobbies in both places, inside and outside the home, has been really good for me. So those are my 6 tips for working moms in 2026. None of these are about being perfect, and none of them will make every day easy, but they can make life feel more manageable, a little more peaceful, and more organized. At the end of the day, I think that's what most working moms are really looking for. Not perfection, just a way to keep things moving without feeling overwhelmed all the time. I hope this gave you a few ideas you can use in your own routine. And if you found one of these tips helpful, please consider leaving a like, comment, or subscribing for more content about being productive with a very busy life. Thanks for watching.